What's going on, guys? So today is Madcatz Mojo review day, and I have to say I've been pleasantly surprised by this thing for a few different reasons. Now I'll get into them a little bit later on, but first off I want to get the very few negative things about this device aired out. I'll kind of consider this to be a disclaimer for anyone thinking about buying this box as a media box, because I feel the issues at hand are probably enough for me to say that I wouldn't recommend this box to somebody to buy if they aren't going to apply the fix and turn this into the great device it's capable of being. So the issues I'm talking about are all software related. A little bit infuriating that this could have been easily fixed in the latest Madcatz update, whenever that was. I must mention this is quite an old device now as well. It still runs Android 4.2.2, which is KitKat, as stock. In front of me, it isn't a stock device. I'll get to that a little bit later on. So it's quite outdated now as a stock device. But as I said, I'll explain a little bit later how you can get around that. Specs wise, it's great. And whilst I'm talking about the specs, I'm just going to bring up this benchmark score. So the last score that I got was 49,024. You can see a little bit of a breakdown or a detailed score on screen there, and I'm just going to talk about the specs really quick. So you get an NVIDIA Tegra 4 processor which clocks at a decent 1.8 gigahertz. You get 2 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of storage, which is both average. You also get a micro SD card slot. I must mention that it's in a really awkward position. I did mention it in the unboxing, but for anyone who's not seen that, it's right underneath the HDMI port. So to get to your SD card slot, you actually have to unplug the HDMI port, mess around with the SD card slot, whether you're putting an SD card in, taking it out, and then plug your HDMI cable straight back in. So yeah, that's a little bit fiddly. It offers support for 5.1 channel surround sound and can play 4K files just fine too, which I'll show you shortly. So yeah, there we've got a little bit of a breakdown of what kind of scores it's got. You could benchmark some devices that you've got yourself and just compare it to them if you wish, or just look online for online benchmark scores and you'll find it out that way too, just how well the processor and stuff performs. So the issue, which massively is unavoidable without making some changes to the Android software yourself, is the fact that as default, so when you first take this out of the box, along the bottom here where you can see my soft keys, which are really small and subtle, you get a massive black line along the bottom there. So it's always going to cut you off from having a full screen picture. So as I say, this is actually the bar for your soft keys. So you got your home button, your back button, and your show all apps button. Say for instance you wanted to open Coda and play a movie, the app wouldn't overwrite the bar, or the bar wouldn't disappear. It would just always appear there. So it's like you don't have a full screen picture. You always see the black chunky bar at the bottom. I can't obviously show you because you don't see it on my screen here, but watch a couple of videos on the Madcatz Mojo as a stock device and you'll see exactly what I mean. This is annoying because it's something that's really avoidable. Like as default, even on the £20 MXQ boxes, the soft keys bar disappears when you're playing a movie or playing a game, and they cost 20 quid. So the fact that they couldn't add it to something so simple is really irritating. The only way to sort this problem out is to root the box. I've tried all different launchers and stuff like that, different apps, and there's just no way of getting rid of this without rooting. Once you've rooted, you can install a Play Store app such as Hide All Soft Keys, which will then enable this bar to fade away when you're opening apps, and you can view your movie or play your game in full screen. So another way to avoid this, and you can see in front of me, this is something that I've done. So you can feel also like you got something a little bit more updated using this method, and that's to do with installing a custom ROM. So I've rooted the box and installed custom ROM. This is CyanogenMod 12. It's based on Android Lollipop 5.0, which isn't the most up-to-date Android software, but it's quite close to being. A lot of devices still run this. A lot of devices still haven't had the update to Marshmallow yet. So as you can see, it is quite updated. It's got rid of that black line along the bottom. I have no issues with the soft keys disappearing or anything like that. So this is going to be a review of the Madcatz Mojo whilst running the CyanogenMod 12 too. I did want this to be just stock, but the stock firmware is just so horrible. I couldn't bring myself to waste my time and cover that. So I've waffled for 6 minutes and I've not shown you anything this box can do. So that's what I'm going to do. And the first thing I'm going to cover is media playback. So I've opened SPMC here and I'm just going to play some movies from my NAS device. So I will find some 1080p files. I will find Chappie. Start that from the beginning. Just take note of how long the app or the movie, takes to open and to play. Whether there's any buffering when I skip 10 minutes into it, or if there's any other issue that you can see or notice, then yeah, keep your eye out for that.
Radar installations, aircraft, fuel storage location. I gotta get this shit done. By the time I... Yeah, sure, okay, come. Send it. Come on. Voice the wonderful.
Right, so there, all I done was waited for the movie to start to play. I skipped 4 times at 10 minutes each, so I skipped a total of 40 minutes into the movie in 4 separate movements, and then I done a little bit of fast forwarding and pressed play again. I didn't see any buffering with that. I have been using this device as my sole device for a week and a half now. I haven't turned my Shield on at all. I've just been using this, and I must say, for the most part, I haven't even realised that I'm not using my Shield. So I'm going to go ahead now and play a 4K file from my NAS. So these are all coming from the same network that the Mojo is plugged into. I'm not streaming it from any other IP address or anything like that. This is all on my NAS device. Now Spider-Man here is a full 4K file. I'm going to do exactly the same with this, and just keep your eye out for any performance issues or anything like that.
Dr. Osborne, please. The performance enhancers aren't ready. The data just doesn't justify this test. It begins catalyzation when the vapor hits them.
Right, so As you could see with that 4K file, it did lag a little bit. I wouldn't say lag, but just took its time to catch up with the movements of fast forwarding and skipping. Took between 2 and 4 seconds at times to just catch up with the actions. Once the media had started playing again, it was fine. It didn't buffer, or there was no out of syncness with the mouths and the audio or anything like that. So that's a little representative of how it plays media from my NAS, 1080p and 4K. I'm now going to play a 4K file from an internet add-on. So I'll just go and play any 4K file I can find. So we've got Mad Max Fury Road Ultra HD 4K file here. So I'm going to hit play, and as I said, this is playing from an add-on. This isn't playing from my media at all. It's just coming straight from the internet. Same again. I'll allow it to start playing. Then I'll go ahead and skip. Right, so that to me seemed to perform as well as the files when they was 1080p did. They performed much better than the 4K files that I had on my NAS performed. So just take that into consideration. That's the best representative of media playback that I can show you for this device. As I say, at times I did forget that I was using the Mojo and I weren't using my Shield, so take that into consideration as well. So I'm going to play a little bit of IPTV now, just so you can see how this performs with live streams. So I'll quickly open a Sky Sports link. As I say, this is IPTV, so it's live right now. This is what you would find on Sky Sports 1 now if you was to switch it on. A lot of people do use these boxes for IPTV and movies and TV, so that's why I'm just giving you a little bit of a preview of what you get from that. That's enough of that. So we've covered media playback. I'm now going to cover something that surprised me the most about this box, and that is the gaming side. So I'm not going to cover retro gaming for this. As you can see, I do have Retro Box TV installed, and I will say that it performs at 100% with this app. I'm not a massive retro gamer at all. I do play a few retro games, but I'm more of a PC gamer. I don't have any Wii, GameCube or Dreamcast emulators set up or anything, so I can't really show you extensive retro gaming, but I can confirm that Retro Box TV app runs flawlessly on this device, just the same as it would run on the Shield. No performance difference at all. So as I said, this box did surprise me on the gaming front, and that was to do with the PC streaming. I'm just going to go ahead and pick up the default Madcatz controller. I do love this controller. I think it's 1000% better than the Shield controller. You've got an attachment at the top for a mount for playing mobile games. I've shown that in the unboxing, so check that out if you want to see how that works. You do get a switch on the bottom, and it is run by a dongle, so you're going to need one of your USB ports to run this controller. I'm in game mode at the minute, but if I was to switch that switch to the middle, you also get a mouse. If you can see that mouse cursor moving on the screen, that's coming from me moving the analog stick. There we go. So yeah, if you can see in the top corner here, highlighted, is the Moonlight app. Some of you may know about this, but basically this is an alternative to NVIDIA's built-in game stream hub. So opening this, it instantly finds my PC. Opening that, it instantly finds my games and my Steam library. So if I was to open Fallout 4, it's going to open this game on my PC at the same time. The audio automatically plays through your TV, so your PC speakers, you can't hear the audio on. All you need to do with the PC is switch off your monitor and run it solely on the PC. So I'm using the standard controller, as I said. I'll just show you how well this performs. There's zero lag. What you see on the screen right now is what is exactly happening on my PC at the exact same time. There's no lag at all, no sound lag, nothing like that. The great thing about this Moonlight app is you can edit your settings, tweak your settings. So if your internet's playing up a little bit, you can lower the bit rate that it's streaming at. You can lower the quality that it's streaming at, so you don't get any stuttery gameplay or anything like that. So I'm just going to have a quick run around here. As I say, everything performs just as well as it does on the PC. Obviously, you're not getting the same speed as you would get from using keyboard and mouse, but that's just obvious to anyone that games, that you don't get the same performance from a controller. But if you're a controller gamer and you like to stream to your TV, then the PC streaming to the Mojo is absolutely perfect. I actually prefer this setup to the Shield setup. I'm going to start using the Moonlight app to my Shield from now on, instead of using the built-in NVIDIA app, because it just performs so much better. I'll just jump into one more game, just so you can see how this performs with a different game and not just one game. This has now opened my Steam library. I'll go ahead and play a little bit of Ark. Now this is a really intensive game. Let me just close that pop-up. Just ignore that in the corner. My computer's deciding to have a dicky fit. But yeah, as I said, this is a really intensive game for the PC. You can't see much right now because it's night time on the game, which is typical. So I'm just going to go ahead and quit this. But yeah, if you can tell by the loading times and the way that these items are moving on the screen and everything, that this is a really smooth experience. We'll just go ahead and stop streaming this. I'll pick back up the controller. And that about wraps up everything that I want to cover with this box. So, as a final summary, I would say this is a very good buy for 60 quid retail price. At the moment, I do believe if you're a new customer to Groupon, you can get £10 off. So picking this up at 50 quid is an absolute bargain. I would recommend anyone who's willing to spend 30 or 40 quid on an MAS box from Amazon or eBay to just dig that little bit deeper and go for the Mojo instead. But I will say you need to root it. It's definitely something that you need to root to get the best out of it that I've just shown you. You will get something far superior to those mass-produced Chinese boxes. And for the people who want a shield but don't want to pay 150 quid for one, then this is a great alternative. I hope that I've shown that in this video. That's what I was hoping to show, that this can pretty much go toe-to-toe with the shield. A lot of people have been querying this, wondering if it does indeed go toe-to-toe with the shield. I was really curious about this too, and I can say if the shield's at 100%, this is about a 92%, 93%. I can't obviously match it with the shield because it doesn't have the same specs inside, but performance-wise, it is very, very similar. You're not going to get a crap box if you buy this and don't root it. You're still going to get a decent box. You're just not going to get this same performance out of it that I've just got out of it. So basically, I've shown you how to get the best out of it that you can. That about sums everything up. I will just add one more disclaimer and say, if you're going to root this, then use the proper method with PC. Avoid using the towel root method. It will root your device for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour, but it will unroot itself. You need to root this by the USB PC method. It's really easy, really simple. Drop me some comments down below if you want the files for rooting it. I've got them saved on my PC. They are quite difficult to search, but I have got them. So if someone wants to root the device and they've not got the files, I will pass them on to you via a Dropbox link or something. And that sums up my whole review of this device, guys. I hope I've cleared up any confusion of whether this box is worth buying or not. And I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.